I'm happy to answer questions.
Yeah, let me get the other mic.
Yes, sir.
Can I get a copy of that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was very well done.
Thank you.
Raphael, thank you for being here, and I appreciate it. I think there's one thing you didn't touch on, and I don't know how we're gonna handle this down the road.
Just one?
Yeah, well, you know, you started off saying yesterday, today, and tomorrow. I want to talk about tomorrow because according to the real estate board in South Florida, 9,000 families a month are moving. It's an influx from California, New York, and Illinois, Chicago mostly. That's 4.2 people per family on the average. So we're looking at, in 5 years, we're going to increase the population of South Florida by 2.25 million. That's a lot of people. Public space is great, that's one thing. They're gonna go shopping, they're gonna go dining, they're gonna do their thing, they're gonna parks and recreation, entertainment, whatever. The question is, what plans are being made to accommodate the tremendous influx, not only with housing and jobs, but with politics? And what I mean by politics is because these people are bringing their political philosophies with them. And there's this concern right now that, and it's been written up in all the newspapers and on the news and everything else, that some of these people are gonna try to change the political outlook of South Florida. Is there anything that your office or anybody else that you will be dealing with is looking into that portion of it?
I can easily answer that question. No.
No, they're not looking into it, or are they?
No.
Because you can't just let the chips fall where they may. You've got a plan for this.
Well, I will tell you, as the employee of a public agency, the last thing I touch is politics. I go to work every day and work with whoever's there. The people elect them, and it's my job to work with the stakeholders, whether they are, whether I agree with their philosophy or not. It doesn't matter. I got to do my job. So that's not something I even think about, frankly.
Any questions?
Question for you. Thank you for your presentation. As asset values go up, how are you going to sustain affordability?
That's a really good question. Kudos to the city and to our mayor for really establishing policies and protocols and putting funding in place to help affordability happen by either giving density increases for developers who agree. We'll give you more height, we'll give you more development potential if you give us back affordable units. Or we'll even subsidize your project with tax increment financing, TIF dollars, like the grant, for example. So in some cases, the government has to play a role in helping affordability happen anywhere near a place like downtown West Palm Beach. Otherwise, we wind up with a situation where the only workforce housing, to use the term, is way outside of where the jobs are. And then that just creates other issues, obviously traffic being one of them. So yeah, it's a very difficult challenge, affordability. And even gentrification of things that were previously affordable, like Grandview Heights and Flamingo Park, the neighborhoods I've been in for over 20 years now, used to be places you could pick houses up in there for nothing. Now it's almost untouchable. I feel incredibly fortunate that we bought when we did, because now we wouldn't be able to even live there. So, yes.
Raphael, thanks very much for all you've been doing for planning downtown, because downtown just doesn't look like downtown anymore. It's a new universe. But I represent the people of Juno Beach, suburbia. I represent a relatively affluent community that has been sort of blessed by the market with increasing value. So for us, the cross between affordability and density is a real issue, because density and height are not something that my people really want.
Yeah.
What we want is mobility. We want the ability to conveniently get to you. So from my standpoint, the most important issue, particularly to the north, is the crossover of the Tri-Rail project and the ability to seamlessly bring people down from, say, Jupiter to the downtown area, and then to cross them over to high-speed rail. So to me, development in the downtown is critically linked to our mobility.
I agree with you, and it's great to hear somebody that's coming at this from your perspective, thinking about the option of transit as a way to get people here. And I think that if we are really going to address those types of issues anywhere in the South Florida region, we have to think like Brightline has thought. We have to create quality, clean, super convenient mass transit that people want to get on. Then it becomes like all of us in the room would say, you know what, I'm not going to drive there, I'm going to take Brightline. The first time I took Brightline to Miami, I said I'm never driving there again, right? So we need to create that same sort of system and that same sort of quality right here in our local region to allow people from outside the area to have the option. Not to say don't drive and not to say we're not going to plan for cars, but to give other good quality options. So I completely agree and have long advocated for better transit right here within our region. That's the key to making it all happen.
So if you completely agree, I have no follow-up.
I have a follow-up on that theme. I love Brightline too for getting to Miami, and it's closed now. Do you have any insight on is the Branson funding going to get replaced with other people's funding, or how are we going to get our Brightline back up?
Yeah, Christina, I'm not sure what the relationship with Virgin is. I know that they parted ways, I believe, but Brightline has said that they are restarting service this year. I don't know the background, though, on how they're financing that. They still are moving ahead with the Orlando expansion, though. And as I understand it, the last I heard in speaking with one of their representatives was that when Orlando opens, they're going to open the entire service again. And they've said that will be this year. That's the most recent I have.
Hi, as a realtor in Palm Beach County, we have so many people coming from the Northeast and the West Coast, and this is beautiful. People from the Northeast will love this downtown, but the biggest question I get is what about the kids, and what about education, and what accommodations are being made for the influx of people coming with families that can't go west, and they want to stay east because they love this traditional downtown.
Sure. You mean in terms of school choice?
Yes.
Yeah. So as a parent here right here in the area, I've been really happy with the schools.
Are they adding more? There's so many people coming from.
Oh, are they creating more capacity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where will they go when you go vertical? And
Sure.
where is that space going to be?
Yeah. So in terms of school capacity, I can't really speak to that. I know that Palm Beach County School District is well aware of the growing population, but I don't know their exact plans for expanding school capacity anywhere in Palm Beach County, including here. I do know it's a conversation, but I don't know the specifics of it.
Hey, Raphael. So I was with you on your birthday when you biked to and from the park. So I tried it. I'm still trying to figure out how you don't need a shower when you get there. But I think it's awesome what you're doing. You bike everywhere, but it's impressive because you're in a suit today.
I am. Thanks. I ride really slow.
He's a trained professional.
I got a question, Raphael. One of the buildings you didn't mention as a office space is the Intech building. I didn't see that in the pictures. Isn't that a office space?
Intech, you mean City Place office tower? Yeah, it was. I mentioned that, Michael, as the last Class A that came online in 2008. Intech, yeah.
Any more questions? Please take advantage of this, because I mean, it's not like you can call Raphael anytime you want.
You can. You can.
How you doing? With all this development going on down here and freshening things up down here, I know Northwood has kind of been, it seems like on the back burner, or maybe people aren't, the developers are not willing to put the money in right now because of what's going on. What is your insight on that? And then also, the CRA site that was across from the old Sunset Grill, do you have any information on what's happening there?
I think that's referred to as the anchor site, right? I do work with the CRA, mostly on downtown issues, but I pay attention, obviously, to what's happening in the region. Northwood is out of the district, for me, out of the Downtown Development Authority district, but what I do know is that there are some plans to keep the focus on the anchor site and to move a lot of the projects that were slated for Curry Park forward, but I don't know the specifics of that. I agree. I mean, Northwood's one. It's kind of gone like this over time. I think with all that's happening in downtown and all around downtown, it's inevitably going to push out. I mean, we're seeing it think of what's happening on South Dixie, South Dixie Highway alone, and it's only a matter of time before it does eventually push north. So, not to go on and on about this, but I think that Northwood Road and Northwood Village has such incredible potential. I mean, it's such a cool, funky place. It's all local businesses, and I think its time will come, but I don't know how soon.
Any other questions for Raphael?
Just to throw something fun out, so where are the animals gonna fit on this? You wouldn't believe all the people with COVID that are, our office building is basically on South Flagler, it faces the water. There's so many people with their dogs. There's no dog parks, and you see the people are this has become their passion. They're walking their dogs 5 times a day. But we have feral cats, and we have coyotes that are eating the feral cats all around my block. So I'm just curious where the animal, looking at all this stuff, is going into this planning.
That is actually something we think about. In downtown, there is a very high concentration of pet ownership. I think some of our buildings, I heard this statistic and I didn't believe it, but I was told it is an absolute truth, that some of the buildings have a 1-to-1 pet to person ratio. We've put out, the DDA has put out poop bags. We've reminded people to pick up. We've worked with the city to create a penalty for not picking up. But yes, we sorely need a dog park. The challenge is with land values and demand for space so high that even an area that we think like Post Park there on Flagler, let's make it a dog park, but then Sunfest and the boat show and 4th on Flagler and all those things that use that space, it starts to become a conflict. So that is a challenge. It's interesting that you point that out. It's a challenge that keeps coming back up. So we're trying to figure it out. It's a challenge.
Hi, Raphael. Are there any plans for the northwest corridor for development? I think over 90% of that land is rental property, but a lot of it's owned by downtown, by the county. And it's been stagnated for I don't know how long. So are there any developmental plans that could, I guess, liven that area?
Tell me what the northwest corridor, the northwest neighborhood?
Between Tamarind, between Tamarind and Palm Beach Lakes, that area.
Oh yeah, sure. So north of Banyan,
Right.
up to Palm Beach Lakes, and obviously east of Tamarind Avenue. So yes, there are significant plans there, and there's actually some development happening there now. Thankfully, that 94-unit affordable project I mentioned is on the north side of Banyan, at the intersection with Tamarind. Right on that, what's been a vacant lot for as long as we can all remember, across from the water plant. Also up into that neighborhood, I think off of Rosemary, the Grand is going in. I actually didn't show a slide of it, but the Grand is another multifamily rental project that includes affordable units. I believe it's at 3rd and Rosemary. I could be wrong, but I believe it's at 3rd and Rosemary, a very significant development. There's been other development approvals north of Banyan and between the FEC tracks and Tamarind. Aloft Hotel had a development approval there. I don't know the status of that. It's been several years. The Sunset Lounge, a major redevelopment project of the historic jazz venue there on 8th Street. So there are significant things happening there, but as a whole, the neighborhood I think is going to benefit from those investments. And yes, there are some publicly owned parcels in there. I don't know what the county owns. I know the county owns some big swaths of land, but throughout the neighborhood, the CRA, the Community Redevelopment Agency of West Palm Beach, does own some properties, and they are looking for the best way to leverage those properties to bring the neighborhood up.
Is there any update on that thoroughfare project?
Who asked, sir?
That was me.
Yes, I have a great update on that project. And thoroughfare is 314 Clematis Street, which is where, when I started my presentation, Woolworth's once was, as a 14,000 square foot, before we called them big box. So Thoroughfare, 314 Clematis, the CRA purchased the building 2 years ago now, with the intent of creating a ground floor collective market space for small businesses to take root on Clematis, where rents are high and typically spaces are way too big for a mom and pop or a local business to take hold. Not many businesses can take down 3 or 4 or 5,000 square feet, let alone 14,000 square feet. So the idea with the Thoroughfare was that we would invite local businesses to apply and to tenant the space. That happened, construction started, some issues were discovered with the building, slowed things down, and then COVID hit, everything went into a deep freeze. We are now just emerging with a new plan and a new approach. In fact, the DDA we're very involved with it. We just engaged a firm called Street Sense that is, in my opinion, the expert in North America on market spaces like that, like Grandview Public or Pike Place Market in Seattle. And they are helping us sort through the specific details that would be needed to make that space work right. So that is coming back. Sometime in the next couple of months, we'll secure an architect, redesign the space, build it out, and then reactivate it. It's a big project and a big opportunity. And really, when we look at, Clematis and downtown often gets beat up for having vacancies, but if you look at the size and the characteristics of those vacancies, maybe one thing that Mr. Nolan, our town planner in 1922, got wrong was the depth of those blocks. If you look at a storefront in Clematis from front to back, it's very deep to that alleyway in the back. So to divide a space up, if it's 14,000 square feet, to divide it into 3,000 or 4,000 square foot spaces, you end up with bowling alleys. So to make it rentable, what do you do? And where are you going to get a 14,000 square foot tenant in West Palm Beach on a main street? And I see Mr. Snitkin here. He's one of the best experts on commercial real estate in our region. He's done this kind of work for decades now in downtown, and filling a space like that can be a big challenge. So we're trying something new, and hopefully it becomes a template for the other very big spaces in our downtown area.
Any last question? No, give them a big hand. Because we have a thank you for you.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Michael.
As a thank you for speaking for us, awarded to Raphael Clemente in recognition for outstanding contributions towards enriching the lives of business professionals.
Thank you, Michael.
Sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Roy.
You're the man.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, we're going to take like 2 or 3 here. Roy Assad, our chairman, is going to close us out.
By the way, Raphael does not sweat because his bike is electric.
You bought an electric bike?
Just kidding. I had the pleasure of working with Raphael as chair twice, I believe. And we used to count like, oh, we only lost 3 businesses this month. We were going the other way. We only lost 3. Well, now, as you can see, the downtown is really booming, and I believe there's a huge change in the air. But and Northwood will follow. Believe me, I've been a believer in Northwood, so that will follow. This meeting does not have to be sold; it sells itself. And what I mean by that is, what makes it what it is you. At the end of the day, to be able to network with one another, and to be able to see each other and actually build relationships and then take it offline, if you will, is the value, what it means to belong to this meeting. I encourage you, if you're not a member, to just go ahead and apply. And did we have any more spots on sponsorships?
One spot left.
We have one more spot for sponsorship. It's $12.50 for the annual cost, which gives you also a gold membership. If you're someone who wants to have your logo on every email that goes out, and we're going to actually do a huge banner with all the new sponsors, which we have a total of 10. Please make sure you see Michael. Otherwise, have an amazing day, and we will see you next month. Thank you.